Good evening. Welcome again. We're going to talk about boiled peanuts tonight. And you might say, well, what does boiled peanuts have to do with money principles? Well, I like boiled peanuts. So tonight I brought a can of boiled peanuts, as you can see. Yep, boiled peanuts. A lot of people in the South, especially we eat these boiled peanuts. This is the original one. But what I want to get at is that with boiled peanuts, there's a lot of peanuts in this particular can of peanuts. And some people can eat, this whole can in one setting. This is, nothing much. But what I want to talk about with boiled peanuts is that one day while eating boiled peanuts, I noticed something that as we eat the peanuts, they come, the peanuts are in the shell. So as you eat peanuts, when you take the peanut out of the shell, you usually have a bag or box or something, that you can throw the hulls in, unless you're, sitting outside maybe, and you got a place that you can throw the hulls. But as you eat the boiled peanuts, I realized that you won't, you try to save the hulls, and you want to, put the hull someplace. And most of the times, the hull of the peanut will overload the container that it came in. So you're left with just the shells of the peanut. See, just the shell. So what am I saying about peanuts and finances? Because that's what this is all about, finances. So a whole peanut could be just the $1 bill that you spend. And the shells is like the change. So when you take and spend the $1, which is taking the peanut out of the shell, if you have change left over, just like you got the shell left over, you keep the change. Put it in a jar somewhere, set it aside. That's what you do. That's what it's like when I talk about the peanuts. So peanuts, in other words, you're eating the peanuts, and the change is you saving the shells. And one day when I realized that eating the peanuts and saving the shell is just like the $1 bill. When you break that $1 and they give you change back, save that change. Take that change and put it in a jar somewhere. You will be surprised at how much change you could save within a year. Even within a couple months. So a challenge for everyone that may not have done it in the past: save the change. Save your pennies, your nickels, your dimes, your quarters, your 50-cent pieces, and your dollar coins. Save them. When you come across them, save them. I would always suggest putting them in a jar. Most people mix them together. It would be better to put the pennies in one jar, the nickels in one jar, the dimes in one jar. your quarters in one jar, your 50-cent pieces in one jar, and your dollar coins in another. This helps because at the end of the day, when you take all your coins and begin to count them and put them together, it's a way of starting to save money. And we always want to save money. The biggest part of us not saving money, believe it or not, is emotional spending. Why? Because emotional spending causes us to spend money at times when we're more emotional. For instance, two of the biggest times that people spend the most money are at weddings and funerals. More people are more emotional when there's a wedding or when there is a funeral. The wedding, because it's the bride and the groom are excited. They want the best and the best, and want everything that they want, so it costs money. If you can one day, maybe break down the cost to see how much a wedding would actually cost, or and how much more people spend because of their emotions and what they want versus what is actually budgeted and needed. We all spend emotionally. There are times we don't think about emotional spending, but emotional spending gets us in more trouble financially than a little bit. There are times when that's the wedding. Why is it that when you go to a wedding of a family member or friend, close family member or friend, we want to dress in the same color or some colors at a wedding the wedding is decorated in? So therefore you're spending emotionally to get a nice suit or a nice dress to go with the colors of the wedding party. You're not in the wedding party, but because you're going to that wedding, you want to dress and be in the same colors of the wedding. A lot of people do this, not everybody, but that's the part of the emotional spending. Because I'm quite sure you have something nice in your closet that you could already wear, but instead you go out and you buy a new outfit to go to the wedding. Then there's also hair and makeup and different things. Men, they want to get their hair cut, want to look, nice and neat, and get their beard, trimmed and everything, and make, themselves look nice and neat. That's a part of grooming. Sometimes, if getting your hair done, that's a part of grooming as well. That may not be a part of the emotional spending all the time. Sometimes it is. And to, make ourselves feel good and feel better, we spend that money. Sometimes people, when there's a funeral, the people that are close to the one that passed away, they get emotional and they spend money. They spend a little more money than they probably need to, but they spend money because they're emotionally touched when there's a funeral. So take, for instance, if you lost a mother, aunt, brother, sister, somebody close to you, you want to look your best, so you're going to go out and spend the money. You're going to, you want to look nice because there's going to be a lot of people around, and There's no doubt you want to look nice, but you're probably spending emotionally, because if you just would look into your closet, you probably have something in there that you could already wear to the funeral. You probably have something in there that you could already wear to the wedding. Some people just need an occasion to go and buy something. That's emotional spending. A little unresponsible sometimes, but emotional spending. And this is what could get your budget off because of emotional spending. Let me tell you about another time that emotional spending comes into effect. Emotional spending when you're traveling. Uh, you're on the highway. You you stop for gas. You have to have gas for your vehicle, so you stop. The marketing team is so effective. They put that picture of the Pepsi right there in your face at the pump. The Red Bull advertisements. That marketing person is a genius. They put it right there, make it look nice and cold on the picture, and you're pumping your gas, and you should be just pumping gas and paying for the gas, but next thing you know, you're in the store, you're buying peanuts, you're buying drinks, Pepsis, Coca-Colas, energy drinks, monster drinks, all in the name of, I gotta stay awake while I'm on the road. Emotional spending. What would it do to stay awake then? Well, maybe some loud music. I don't know. Maybe a good conversation. Maybe a good book in the on your iPad or something that reads out loud while you're driving. Maybe a good conversation with your passengers. Maybe some fun stuff to do. I spying on the road, different things of that nature. But emotional spending hits us all. I'm not above the emotional spending myself. Sometimes it's just the sale that is on in the store. Are you bored? And you say, well, I have nothing to do, so I'll just go and walk in the stores. And some people call it therapeutic. Therapeutic shopping. That's what they call it, therapeutic shopping. And there's probably such a thing as therapeutic shopping. But here's the issue. And emotional spending hits every last one of us at some point. We get a raise on the job. We feel good. We got some extra money coming in. What do? We go shopping. We go buy something that we probably don't need. Instead of investing that money, instead of saving that money, instead of finding ways to put that money in a place where it can grow and work for us, we are out spending. And we don't need to be spending, but we're out spending. And that is part of emotional spending. Also, there are times when, because of the pressure of everyone around you, so like peer pressure that's a part of emotional spending. Everyone is stopping for lunch, and you know that the place that they're stopping for lunch, or the place that they're going for dinner, is a little expensive and out of your budget. But because everyone else is there and everyone else is eating, you are going and you're going to spend a little bit more than you need to spend. That's emotional spending, because I don't want, and prideful as well, but more so emotional spending is what we're talking about here today. And we do it. Even in church, emotional things happen emotionally. Spending happens in church. You go to church, you get excited, And I'm not saying don't give, and I'm not saying don't give at church, but you get excited, and you don't want to when they're passing the offering plate, you don't want to take change out of the offering, so you give more than you had intended to give. There was a video out. The lady made me laugh. She said, she called the pastor back. She said, instead of putting the 10, I put the 100. Because she was so excited. She put the 100 instead of the 10, but when she got to the restaurant, she needed her $10 back. Her $100 back. So, emotional spending is a thing, even in church. Because somebody else got up and said, I'm going to give, X amount of dollars, and you feel it could be your last, and because they said, well, I'm going to start the offering off with $100, and you, oh my goodness, and then, you feel it, everybody who can pay $100, stand up with me. And I'm not against those that do that if that's what you do at your church. I'm just saying that's a part of emotional spending, because you want to be a part of what is happening. You want to put your you want to stand up with everybody else and not stand out. You want to be a part of the people that paid the $100. So when everybody else is looking who didn't pay, they can look at you, but you did it because you was emotionally led to do, but that could have been your last $100, and you decided to give because whoever led the offering said, I'm going to give I'm going to start with $100, and everybody that can do $100 follow me. And you didn't want to look bad in the audience, and you didn't want to look like you couldn't pay $100. So pride step in, and emotional pride got you. Emotional excitement got you. The preacher said, give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measures pressed down, shaken together, shall man give into your bosom. And you jump up, and and then when you leave service, you're like, oh my goodness, my Lord, I gave my last $100. And then now you're feeling like whatever when you get home. That's because emotional spending got the better of you while you were in a church service. You're supposed to be there praising and lifting up the name of Jesus. And because somebody said they was going to give 100, you jumped up and gave your last 100. They might have only given one of their 100s, but you gave your last 100 because of emotional spending. Another thing about emotional spending, when if you're sitting around and you're bored, you might spend some money. You could be depressed and spend money. I heard a story of a man who his wife said that her husband would not spend any money until he got depressed. And when he got really depressed, then he would spend some money. And this wife said, I kind of wish he would get a little bit depressed a little bit more so I could spend some more money. But nonetheless, it was an emotional thing. The depression led him to spend money because he was down. Sometimes after paying a huge bill, emotional spending could happen because now you paid the bill, but guess what? Because you want to feel like you still have some money within your reach, you go out and you spend a few dollars just so you can feel better. That's emotional spending. That's not sticking to the budget. That's spending more than what you have because it's tied to your emotions. Some people call it paying for peace. I'm going to take care of other people's bill because, I want, it could be anything. It could be paying your, because your children, no longer lives at home You could be paying your children's, rent, so that they don't have to be in don't have to be in your house. That's a part of emotional spending. You are paying for the peace, pretty much. So you want your emotions to be appeased, which is, I want peace and quiet. So I'm you know I'm gonna pay my child's rent so he doesn't have to come over here and be over here all the time. And when I'm ready, he can go home or she can go home. So that's emotional part of emotional spending as well. Um, Taking trips. Nothing wrong with taking trips, but when you take a trip, you probably spend a little bit more than what you actually budget for because of emotional spending. When it comes down to buying a house or a vehicle, emotional spending can still happen. You sit down with your spouse, you set a budget, you sit down with the realtor, you set a budget, and they go out and they find your house within the price range of what you say you're looking for. They find you about three houses. Realtors, they do this. They find you about three houses. They find you three houses within the budget range of what you set. In other words, let's say you set, and I'm just using numbers. I'm just throwing something out there. Say you set a range of $300,000 to buy a house. The realtor is going to go out. The realtor is going to find you a house for maybe 275. They're going to find you one right around 300, and then they're going to find you one right around 375 to 400. And they're going to come back and they're going to show you these houses. And when you get in that $400,000 house and your budget is only $300,000, if you go in that $400,000 house and it's a little bit bigger and it's a little bit roomier and it has a few more amenities than the other house, because of emotions, if you don't stick to the budget, you'll probably buy the bigger house. And the realtors are probably betting on you to buy the bigger house, especially if they can accommodate the finances. And you will be there, I'll make a way, we're going to make it work. And you make it work. And it was emotional, but you didn't realize that it was emotional. But that's emotional spending, because we don't remain disciplined. We have a budget. How many times did you had a budget? You had in your mind how much you have. And before you know it, you're going over and you're figuring out another way to pay for whatever it is that you're going to get. Car shopping. Another one that emotional spending takes place and you do not realize it. The dealer, the salesperson will come out. You're going to be looking at cars on the lot. You're going to see one. Now, they're not going to necessarily lead you to the car that is more expensive. They're going to sell you on your emotions. But let's talk about that for just a moment. The car buying experience. You say, well, I'm going to buy me a car. And you have in mind the type of car that you would like. And you go down to the car lot and you look around to see these cars. And the salesperson, they know that they can sell you a car. Now, I like to talk about the apples when it comes down to cars, because here's what the salesperson does. They sell you your emotions, basically. They do not, you look at a car and they ask you, what would you like in your car, and how you would like your car or whatever. What's your dream car, and what do you think about this and that and the other of the car. And it's best to try to take somebody with you, because I like to call them the green apples, red apples, and the green apples. They're kind of on the fence. They don't know. They want to they want to buy, but you know they're not a go. But those red apples, and the salesman can spot you far away when you come in there. If you're a red apple, they know they're gonna sell you a car. Basically, that's it. They're gonna sell you a car. Green apples, they're gonna have to take their time and proceed with caution on those green apples, because green apple be like, nope, I'm not buying today. I'm just looking. But those red apples, they're hot. They're ready to go. So they're gonna buy a car, and those salesmen gonna pick up on your red apple attitude and emotion, and they're gonna sell you your emotions. They're gonna tell you how nice you look in the car. They're gonna tell you how nice everybody's gonna be talking about you when you pull up with your new car. They're gonna sell you on your emotions. You like leather seats, they're gonna say, oh, then that leather seat feel fine. You like cup holders, oh yeah, we got cup holders right here. It's a nice automatic. Sit in there and feel that leather. Oh, this got heated seats, man. You just push that button right there, and the seats heat. See how they're getting your emotions involved. You ain't even worried about the tires no more. You like the color. It's a nice color for you and everything. And they're almost telling you it's matching your eyes, and good and well. But they're selling you your emotions. That's what happens when you go to that car lot. They're selling you your emotions. You get happy about that car, they can tell, and they sell it to you. And they're not done when they say sell you the car, because now your eyes is on that car. Now you got to go in the finance office, and he's in there. He's gonna finesse you too, and he's gonna get your emotions. Yes, I got your payments at da 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 da. If you like the whether you like the payments or not, you already sold on what the car looked like and feels like. And then and a lot of times let's take a test drive. Why would you take a test drive, and next thing you know, you're buying the car, because they're selling you on your emotions. So emotional spending is a thing. It does happen. There are people that when you go to the mall, emotional spending happens. You're on a excursion, day trip with friends and family, and emotional spending happens. You know that you don't have enough funds in your budget to, maybe you had enough to get the ticket to go because you wanted the ride. But when you get to the places where you don't have, you may not have all the money to go shopping. You should budget it out. You should take it out and put it together. But if you don't have it, or you start emotionally spending, and that's where your credit cards will get maxed out a lot of times because of trips and emotional spending. That's where they would get maxed out. Your credit cards, your sometimes you're borrowing from a friend, or having them Cash App or Zelle you some money while you're out. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. They get out away from home, and somebody got to send them some money because they are overspent, or they're spending too much. They didn't properly plan. So their emotion is getting the best of them. So don't let our emotions get the best of us in the spending. Even when you're in the grocery store, it happens. Things are strategically placed in the grocery store too. And like I said, the marketing team, they do a very, very, very good job at working on your emotions and how you have to walk through the whole store. You ever notice that the milk is basically at the back of the store? Most stores, their refrigerators and stuff are on the very back aisle. So you have to walk all the way past all the canned goods, past all the sweet stuff, past all the drinks that's on the shelf, past everything to get to the nice cold milk to which a lot of people drink. And even if you're lactose intolerant, they have lactose intolerant milk back there. So you have to pass everything to get just to the milk. And you say, "Well, have you ever just ran it? Just say, I'm going in the store to get one item and come out with a cart full of stuff." Why? Because emotional spending took place. Emotional things happen. You're walking through the store. You didn't intend to buy no grapes, but they look so pretty. And you pick them up and you start to eat them. And then by the time you get to the register, you've consumed maybe almost a pound of grapes or something, because emotional spending. You went in the grocery store with a list, but you were hungry. So now you got everything on the list and some extras. Why? Because you want something now. Why? That's emotional spending happening. You go in the store, you go to buy a suit, and you say, well, all I'm getting is the suit. Well, that suit does not come altered all the time. So now you got to get the alterations done. And while you're in there, guess what? Well, you might as well get a shirt and a tie to match the suit, and the socks and the shoes. Emotional spending. You just was supposed to just get a suit and let them alter it. You had shirts and ties at the house, but you bought more shirts and ties because of emotional spending. And you don't realize that it is emotional spending, and you wouldn't call it emotional spending. You'll say, well, I'm just adding the shirt and the tie. They just go get a dress. Well, when you get a dress, now you got to get the shoes. You got to get the shoes. Now you got to get a bag. The shoes, the bag, and the dress must match, or whatever outfit that you chose to buy everything must match from head to toe, because we're not stepping out the door any kind of way. Some couples buy outfits to match each other. I'm nothing wrong with that either. But there's an emotional spending. If it's not in the budget, then it's emotional spending going on. Just like I said, you go to the gas station, get something supposed to get gas, and you're buying peanuts, you're buying candy bars, Snickers, Mr. Good Bar. You're buying, if the children are with you, you're definitely probably going to be spending emotionally, because you don't want the children crying. You don't want them upset. You don't want them, having a tantrum in the middle of the store. So you end up probably buying a little bit more than what you actually went in there to spend. They pick up some food or something that is not on the list of grocery things to buy, because of emotional spending, because I see it and it looks good and it's speaking to me, and now I must have it, but it's not in the budget for you to buy. Even going to the parts store, and you just go in there to get a part, but you see these nice fancy wrenches and they got a clearance sale going on, and now you buying wrenches instead of just the part that you need for the vehicle. You go into the any one of the stores, and you end up buying more than what you intended to go in. Even at the jewelry counter, when with engagement rings and jewelry and stuff, you go in there to just kind of see what you might buy with what you have, and then you go over budget and you buy more than what you need. These things happen. They are emotional spending. This is not something that you even think about in your thought pattern, because if no one ever told you about emotional spending or ever said that you were doing some emotional spending, you would not think about it. You just spend emotionally and not even know that you're spending emotionally. You have pets at home. You have pets in your home or around your home, and you go out and you go to the pet store and, oh, he doesn't, they don't have this, the pet don't have that, and you're spending, and if it's not in the budget, it's part of the emotional spending, but you don't realize that it is emotional spending. And this is why it is such a thing, and it's very important to know that you are emotionally spending money that you probably don't have. A lot of us live beyond our means, and we don't need to live beyond our means. If you don't make it, it's not in your budget, why are you trying to spend it? You already are in a lot of debt, which is most people are in a lot of debt, and a lot of the debt that they're in, they're still not having enough set aside um, when you're in debt. So if you're in debt, your money, the debt that you're in, should be no more than what you have already have in investments. So in other words, in the bank, if you're with banking, most people have a checking account and a savings account. When it comes to banking, most people will know a teller, because you walk in and what do you see? A teller. That's the first person you're probably going to see. Maybe a security guard or two, depending on where your bank is. If bigger banks, they usually have security guards and stuff. They got a lot of cameras and everything in these banks. But the most of us, all we're going to meet is the teller, maybe the branch manager, maybe a loan officer, but most of us are going to meet the teller right at the window, because we're just cashing a check or depositing funds into a bank. It'd be nice if you do have a saving and a checking account. Each individual needs to have savings and checking. Why? Because you use your checking account to, arrange your bill pays and things of that nature. And your savings account is just what it says, a saving account. And what happens is when you put your money into the bank uses your money to make money. So in other words, we all put our money in the bank in a checking or savings account. Now the bank, you have a slip, a copy, a booklet. You have something that tells you that this is how much money you have in the bank, but your money is not actually sitting in the bank. The bank takes your money and invests it so that they can make interest off of your money. They take your money and they loan it to other people so that the other people that borrow the money can pay interest on the money, so that the banks makes money and continue to grow money. And when I say grow money, that means compound interest, residual income, things of that nature, dividends, words like that. So really, because money does not literally grow on a tree or anything. Some people like to think it does, but it takes work, legal work, ethical, legal, ethical work, legitimate stuff, work, and because money is a currency, then it takes that to continue to grow. So, in other words, you have an income. As long as you have an income coming in, then what you can do from that income is you can retrieve some of that income and save it. Retrieve them of that income for your checking account. I've talked about 10-10-80 before, which is a rule that if you're gonna give away 10% of your money, you should be saving 10% of your money and living off of the 80%. And then there are ways to break down the 80%. We're going to talk about that maybe another time, but right now what we're talking about tonight is you need to have. We talked about the peanuts, and then we talked about emotional spending, and now we're talking about the banking and how you should have a savings account and a checking account. If you're of age, I would say, working age. Some states allow 16-year-olds to work. A lot of if your parents can put you to work, the parents are entrepreneurs and they decide to put their children to work and everything, then yes, you need to have a savings account and a checking account set up for that child. You need to start showing them how they must maneuver with the savings and checking account. Savings is just that, saving. Save something. Always put something aside for saving. Why? You say, well, I don't need. Yes, you need money. We all do. We're living here on this earth. Money is a big part of what we do every day. There is no one that don't need money somewhere. Even the homeless man on the street wants money. He needs money, So I know they'll say homeless man, homeless woman, homeless person on the street. They need money too. They gotta eat. They gotta have money. But if you have an income, I'll say it that way. If you have an income, then you need to take that income and start your checking account, start your savings account. Checking account is where you should be paying bills from. Now, there are some people that write checks. Still in this society, some people that still write checks. For the most part, a lot of people are now using check cards, Apple Pay. They're using Zelle, Cash App, things of that nature. But you still need a checking account or a savings account. You need both. But in order to do transactions, you would have to have a debit card. Preferably, your debit card should be linked to your checking account, not your savings account. Your card should be linked to your checking account because that's where you are paying bills. That's where the if you're buying gas or other things with your debit card, it should be linked to your checking account. I would not link a debit card to my savings account. I would definitely save money, and if I ever needed money, I would take it out of my savings and just transfer it into my checking so that I can use my checking account. Having a checking account, and if you have it online or you have, however you have it, keep a track of all that you're doing with your checking account. Keep track on what you are saving, because remember, the bank, they have a record too, and what they do is, like I said, they take all the money, pool it together, and then they take that money and loan it to other people and charge them an interest rate. They put it in investments and stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, things of that nature, and they make money off of those things in order to operate their bank, in order to pay their workers and things of that nature. Like I said, most of us, all we're going to see is a teller. We're not going to see or a branch manager, maybe, or a loan officer. We may see them. We may even see financial advisors at the bank. We may even see them. But for the most part, when you walk in and you walk up to the counter, you're going to face that teller. And that teller is going to take your money. They're going to count it behind you. They're going to make sure it's right. They're going to take it and accredit it to your account. They're going to probably give you some sort of slip back that says we receive X amount of dollars from person A, and this is how much we receive from them. And if you ask them, they say, well, this is the balance that says on your account. Your account balance is $20,000. Okay, so now you know you got $20,000 in that particular bank institution. Make sure your bank that you choose to use is a part of a FDIC insured, or the National, I think it's the National Credit Bureau, National NCB Credit Bureau, I think it is. But anyway, make sure your bank is insured. Most banks are insured up to $100,000 per account. So each account that you have, your checking account, saving account, is insured up to $100,000. Some banks insure a little more, I think, but most banks are $100,000 insured. So make sure that you are insured, your bank is insured where you have your money. All that means is that when it says the FDIC, all that means is that they will refund your money. Now, how they refund your money is something totally different. Let's say you had $100,000 in that bank. And the FDIC, federal people, they're going to refund your money, but they could be paying you $2, $5, $10 at a time until they actually refund your money. So be careful with that, because you would be thinking, well, if they're insuring my money, then guess what? I can come back. If I lost $100,000, they're gonna give it right back to me. No, they're probably gonna be paying you in some kind of increments over a long period of time until you actually recoup your funds. It's unfortunate that it happens that way, but sometimes it do. Now, like I said, checkings and savings, and then you want to understand that you can. Some banks even charge a fee for your checking account. So, in other words, when I say they charge a fee, if you have a checking account at some banks, they may charge you $5 a month to maintain that checking account. Same thing with the savings. Some banks may require you to maintain a certain amount of money within your savings account, checking account, so that you don't get charged those administrative fees, as they call it. So like a checking account could be $5 a month. But if you maintain a $2,500 balance between your checking and savings, then you won't have to pay that $5 a month statement fee and administrative fee, as some banks call it. So make sure that you are paying attention to what you're doing with your checking account and your savings account. Now, some banks would say, well, if you do total online banking, then we do not have to charge you a fee. Be careful with total online banking, because guess what? How does money get deposited into any account? You have to physically go to a bank, a ATM somewhere. You have to go somewhere and deposit that money. And that's what you want to be sure of. Where do you go? Because I know there's a lot of banks out here now, new banks showing up. But where do you go to deposit the money? And then from where uh, does the money come? A lot of people have direct deposit through their job. Nothing wrong with direct deposit. It's a good thing. Direct deposit into your checking account and have money drafted from your checking account straight to your savings account. That way you never see it. That way you never touch it. Out of sight, out of mind works a little bit when with the money. But however, you still want to keep an eye on your savings account to make sure that it's saving like it's supposed to. Now, we did talk about budgeting, and I know the last in one of the other videos I held up a notebook. I also want to hold up this book. See right there what it says. Home Finance and Bill Organizer. You might want to get one of these. They're fairly easy to find. I found this one at one of the Dollar Generals locally. But you want to get one of these Home Financial Bill Organizer. You want to have one of these. Why? Because it has a month-to-month outlook on your. It has a month-to-month outlook on your finances, and it will help you after you did the tracking for. Because this will even help you track too as well. I wish I had some empty pages in here and I could show you how it tracks, but I think all my pages are full and I'm not gonna show you. I don't want to show you. I want to show you that. But anyway, it does have space in there for you to write out all of what you have to pay. It says when you get one of these, you'll see it'll have the month in the middle, whatever month it is, and you can write the year there. It has a side for income, the date and the amount. It has a side for total, your total on the type of income, expenses, and what's left over, and it gives you room to put all of that there. It says date, then it has a place for the description, and then it has a category, and then the amount, and you can mark when it was paid. This works well with, it has, little lines down there so you can put your date, and you can put the description, the electrical bill, insurance, phone bill, things like that. Your credit cards, you can list all of that stuff here, and then you can categorize it as water, if you got the water, whatever company, water, lights, stuff like that. You can categorize it, utility bills and stuff, credit card bills, investments, and things like that. And this will help. This book, lit Home Finance and Bill Organizer, will help you in keeping up with your finances. I know the last time I had a notebook where I was telling you to track your money for 90 days, track everything and make sure that you're keeping up for 90 days, track it. Once you track it, this would be the next best thing that would help you break down, keep your budget, help you keep straight, so that you'll know every month what you're paying out and what's coming in. Why is that important? It's important because once you know how much you have coming in, then you will be more cautious about overspending. And it's very important because, again, that emotional spending kicks in, and now you're spending. Something bad happened, you're spending. Something good happened, and you feel all right, and you're spending. You get a raise, you're spending. Why? Because I got a raise and I got more money. But that's the time you should be more disciplined. That's the time you should be putting that money, continuing on a mission to put that money where it needs to be so that you can continue. Savings, you say, why all the savings? I don't want to just, have all this money saved up for nothing. No, you're saving so that your money can start with that saving. It should be in something that's yielding a higher interest rate of return to you. So make sure that you have your savings in something that's yielding a good return. Look for a savings account that yields about, right now, averaging maybe about 4%, 5%. If you can get, 6, 7, 8%, you're doing good. There are people out there getting 9, 10, even 20. I think the highest I've heard is like 29% now. Somewhere people are getting 29% return on their investment. Now, understand investing. I know I didn't write it on the board back there, but with saving and checking and investing, the banking, knowing the teller, knowing financial advisors are there, knowing loan officers are there. With all of that, understand and know that investing, if you don't invest, you're probably going to be spinning your wheels where you are for a long time. You could accumulate, you working is going to get you, I'm not saying working is not a good thing, because I want we all want to be productive people in society. So working is a good thing. Whether you work for yourself or you work for somebody else, working works. While you're working, start working on what you're doing with your money. A lot of times you're putting your money in places that are not benefiting, not residual income, not compounding interest, not doing nothing. It's just sitting there. And the bank is totally using it and legally using your money to make money. And if the banks are using your money to make money, should not you be using your money to make money? Should not you be using your money to make money? I'll repeat that. Should not you be using your money to make money? Why? Why do I need my money making money? Because you'll never make enough working to fully retire. You'll never make enough money. Have you seen anyone work 40 years? And at the end of the 40 years, they had $1 million just by working. And I'm just using that number. Most of them don't have $100,000 at the end of 40 years of working. So if you have anything near that, you're doing good. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that until you take a different look at what you're doing with your money, yes, you're working. Yes, you're on that job. You've probably been on it. Some people been on the job 10, 20 years. Nothing wrong with being on the job 10, 20 years. I have nothing against nobody working, because I want us all to work and be productive in society. Even the social media people, I'm not mad at you for making all the, young lady was on there the other day, $800,000. Now she's broke. What are you doing with your money? This is the point that I'm trying to convey to everyone that's listening to me. What are you doing with what you make? It's not exactly how much you make. It's what you're doing with what you make that is making the difference. It's what you're doing with your money that is either helping you or hurting you. And you have to decide what to do with your money in order for it to be working for you and doing better. A lot of times it's not working because you're doing things that you don't realize you're doing. I make more money, so I should be able to DoorDash every night. Why are you paying $40 or $50 for DoorDash? I'm not against DoorDash, but I'm just saying, until your money is making money, until you have to be responsible, until you don't have to be responsible anymore. I know that don't even sound right or whatever, but when you understand what I'm saying about being responsible with your money, because you want to do greater things, but because of emotional spending, because you're not remaining disciplined, because you're not creating habits that's going to help you, what you're doing is hurting you. And until your mindset change about what you're doing, nothing else will change. You will work year after year after year and still not accumulate enough money to retire because your money is not working for you. Find a way to make your money work for you. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to help you understand the emotional spending that you're doing, not working. If you're not putting your money into a checking and a savings account and letting it grow at least a little bit of interest until you start to understand that you need to invest at some point, that your money needs to be working for you, because money is the only thing that can work 24/7 and never get tired. Make your money work for you. Find a way. Remember the boiled peanuts? Every time you spend $1, you break that dollar, save those change. Put that change in a cup. Put those pennies away. Fill that cup with pennies. Fill that jar with nickels, dimes, quarters, or whatever it is. Fill it up. And once it gets full, then roll those change. 50 cents in pennies. $2 in nickels. $5 of dimes. $10 in quarters. The 50-cent piece, I think, are $10 in 50-cent pieces. And the dollar coins, they come in $25 increments in rolls. So roll those things up. Take them to the bank. Put them in your savings account. Grow your savings account. You don't need a lot of money to invest, but you need to start investing. You can find stocks and bonds and different things that are more safe, I'll say, because all of them have risk factors. I say, some people say investing is risky. I say investment have risk factors. We all know that they have risk factors. Why? How we know that? Because you could lose if you invest everything in the stock market, you could lose it all. Yes, you could, but you need not to fare with that. Learn where to put your money, what to put your money into. Talk to an advisor. He's probably going to tell you get out of debt first and all this stuff like that. That's probably what most of them are going to tell you. Get out of debt, because that's the best answer. That's the most correct answer. Get out of debt first and then start investing. I'm not going to tell you get out of debt first. I want you to pay your debts, trust me. But I want you to start investing as well. I believe that you can do both. I believe that you can start investing even while you're in debt, because that investment might be the thing that gets you out of debt. But a lot of advisors, they will not tell you to do both. They will only tell you to get out of debt. The problem is getting out of debt, you lose the interest in those 3 to 5 years that you take to get out of debt first. You lose the interest that you're going to make on your money. And they're advisors, so they're already that far ahead of you. But I am telling you right now, you don't have to wait to get out of debt to start investing. You just got to change the way you're thinking about your money and how to use your money. And those little things that you're doing, that emotional spending, if you can cut that out, if you can stop the emotional spending, you'll find out you have money to invest. When you do the 90 days of tracking, you'll find out that you have money that you can invest. You'll have money to save. Don't live beyond your means. If you don't make it, don't spend it. But a lot of people, a lot of us are living beyond our means because we want everything that our eyes see. We want everything that everybody else is doing. And sometimes you can't just do what everybody else is doing. You have to stop. You have to stop in your tracks and say, okay, I only make X amount of dollars, and I'm going to use this X amount of dollars to live until and even when you make more money, don't spend more money. Try to save more money. And I know some advisors will tell you, well, we need more money. If I'd have started investing 3 years ago versus waiting till I got out of debt to invest, see how much further I would have been because of compound interest? That's another thing. Do the math. Write the numbers down. Look at them on paper. Numbers, I was told and I believe that the numbers don't lie. The numbers will tell you the truth. Even if you got Google calculators out there, use them. Find out if you put $100 in, what the compound interest is going to be after a year. Put it in there. Find out what it's going to, if you put $1,000 in, what the calculated interest is supposed to be compounded after a year. They have formulas for these things. And it works. And all you have to do is do the numbers. I don't need to know how much you make. I don't need to know, I can sit down with you and talk to you. And if you want to tell me how much you make, that's fine. I'm going to keep that between me and you and the Lord. But it's up to you. Do the numbers. Do the math work. Eliminate the emotional spending. If you're spending dollars, breaking those dollars, save the change. Put the change aside. Eliminate the emotional spending. We all do it. We do it unconsciously. We don't even think about it. You know, you go to the store, you want your favorite snack. So you buy it, whether it's in the budget or not. You get your hands on some money, you go and buy something that you want because you feel good. It's emotional. And we all do it. Unconsciously do it. No, I don't do that. No, unconsciously you do it. And sometimes you're spending way more than you intended to spend. Then you go down, make sure that while you're working, while you owning your business or what have you, make sure that you're putting money aside. Set it up. You use credit cards. Those that have businesses, they use the credit card machines. Try to set something aside. They'll take it out before you even get it. Those that have jobs to get direct depositly paid, tell them you want to take a certain amount out and put it towards your 401k. They matching your money, put it towards your savings account. If it's nothing but $5 or $10 a week, or whenever you get paid. I've given you the formula 10-10-80. We're going to talk about that one day. But put that money aside so that it can be used later. Saving money because there's always inflation. The 3% inflation every couple of years. That means the prices of things are going to keep going up, and it's going to cost us more to live. $100 today, saved and earning a good 8 to 10% interest or even higher, will help you in the future when that $100 isn't going to be $100. It's not going to be $100 in the future. I mean, it still be $100 bill, but you know what I'm saying. It's probably not going to go as farther. We have seen the change from the time, especially from the time where I was born, in our generation. We've seen the change, and we've heard how people used to say way back before even my generation. There was a prophet man. He spoke it. He said it was back in the early 60s and 70s. He spoke. I wasn't here when he spoke, but I heard what he told the people that are now still living. that loaf of bread was going to be more than, it was going to be like $2 or $3. And what's a loaf of bread today? And who knows what it's going to be in the future. I'm not trying to predict it because I'm no prophet, but because of inflation, we know it's going to go up. So let's start preparing. I understand that the world may end. I understand that people are going to die. It's just a matter of when. But while we're still living and while we're still here, let's start acting like we are here and we have, I don't want you not to live. I don't want you to not have the bag. I want you to have a bag so that you can buy the bag, so that you can have something in the bag after you bought the bag. Do you understand what I'm saying? You got a wallet with no money in it. You got a purse with no money in it because you spent it all emotionally. And none of these things, even the money is not going to go with you when you go. But the important thing about having the money is when you master the art of having the money, and you know how to generously be able to give and generously help other people. But the most of the time we can't help other people because we're in a bind. We're the ones struggling. And then we're trying to help somebody else. So let's get at this thing. Let's understand this. It's not about how much money you make. It's what you do with what you make that makes a difference. Thank you for taking the time to listen tonight or today or whenever you hear this. Thank you.